All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar. Winter is coming, tax season insights on Form 1099-K, e-filing, and thresholds. My name is Christina, and we at TaxBandits are excited to help you stay informed and IRS compliant. If you have any questions during the presentation, please add them to the chat. If you're unable to see the webinar in full screen, please try clicking the square in the upper right of the webinar to enlarge the view. And as a reminder, TaxBandits is an IRS authorized e-file provider. While we love to talk about taxes and we have years and years of experience, we are not tax advisors. If you need assistance with preparing returns or any other specific questions, please consult a certified tax preparer or the IRS. Today we'll be discussing insights about the upcoming tax season, including an overview of IRS year-end filing requirements, major updates for Form 1099-K for 2023, how 1099-K changes will affect your business or your clients, the IRS e-filing thresholds, which were dramatically reduced for 2023, adapting to IRS updates for this tax season, and TaxBandits tips for a smooth year-end filing experience. We'll start today's webinar with a quick refresher on common year-end forms. There are a variety of forms that businesses may be required to file at the end of the year. For businesses that are required to report employee wages and withholdings, of course, there is Form W-2. Businesses reporting payroll taxes may need to file Form 941, which is the employer's quarterly federal tax return. Form 940, the employer's annual federal unemployment tax return. Form 943, the employer's annual federal tax return for agricultural employees. Form 944, the employer's annual federal tax return. Form 945, the annual return of withheld federal income tax, or a combination of these forms. There are also a number of forms businesses may need to file to report payments made in the course of doing business, such as the Form 1099 NEC that's used for reporting non-employee compensation, the 1099 miscellaneous that reports various types of miscellaneous income, the 1099-K, which is used to report payment card and third-party network transactions, and we'll actually get into these three forms more in just a little bit. Some businesses may even be required to file additional 1099 forms, such as the 1099 INT, which is used to report interest income, the 1099 DIV that reports dividends and distributions, the 1099-R that's used to report distributions from pensions, annuities, retirement or profit sharing plans, IRAs, insurance contracts, etc., the 1099-S that is used to report proceeds from real estate transactions, or even other types of 1099s and other forms. Now that we've taken just a quick look at common year-end forms, let's discuss the difference between Form 1099 Miscellaneous and Form 1099 NEC. Form 1099 NEC is used to report non-employee compensation. This form was reintroduced in the 2020 tax year with the sole purpose of reporting non-employee compensation payments to independent contractors and freelance workers. The e-filing deadline for the 1099 NEC is January 31st, and the recipient copy deadline for this form is actually also January 31st. While the Form 1099 Miscellaneous is used to report miscellaneous payments made in the course of doing business. In the past, this form was used to report non-employee compensation in Box 7. However, from tax year 2020 moving forward, this is no longer the case. Examples of miscellaneous payments include rents, awards, payments made to an attorney, fishing boat proceeds, crop insurance proceeds, and more. The e-filing deadline for the 1099 Miscellaneous is March 31st, and the recipient copy deadline for the 1099 Miscellaneous is January 31st. Next up, let's talk about Form 1099-K. Form 1099-K is an IRS information return used to report online payment transactions made during the year. These transactions include income received from payment cards like debit, credit, and stored value cards such as gift cards, and third-party network transactions, for example, through payment apps or online marketplaces. Think of payments made through platforms like Venmo, Cash App, Uber, PayPal, and more. The e-filing deadline for the 1099-K is March 31st, and the recipient copy deadline for the 1099-K is January 31st. Now, as we mentioned a little bit earlier on the webinar, there have been major changes to the Form 1099-K reporting requirements. For tax year 2022 and prior, payment processors were required to report transactions exceeding $20,000 or exceeding 200 transactions or more. For tax year 2023 and beyond, all transactions made for goods and services exceeding $600, regardless of the number of transactions completed, must be reported on Form 1099-K. So who will be impacted by the updates to the 1099-K reporting? Essentially, everyone who uses online payment transaction platforms is likely to be affected in some way. Businesses that receive payments from customers and clients will likely receive 1099-Ks for the transactions. Individuals that use online payment processors may also receive a 1099-K for these transactions if they are $600 or more. Independent contractors paid by debit or credit card through an online payment processor will likely receive a 1099 NEC and a 1099-K. And businesses and taxpayers need to carefully track their payments to report their payments correctly. Let's look at some tips that will help you adapt to these 1099-K changes. Keeping business and personal expenses separate will help with adapting to changes made to the 1099-K. Recipients of over $600 of the following types of payments will receive a Form 1099-K, including crowdfunding platforms, freelance marketplaces, online marketplaces used for the sale or resale of clothing, furniture, other items, craft or maker marketplaces, and many more. The following types of payments are not required to be reported on Form 1099-K. Money that you receive from friends and family as a gift, money that you receive as reimbursement for meals, sharing a car ride, chipping in on a friend's birthday, etc., or paying a roommate back for a household bill or expense are just a few examples. The IRS has initiated a new e-filing threshold that will affect businesses during the 2023 reporting season. The threshold is now 10 forms collectively. This threshold was formerly 250 forms and was not collective. This will affect even the smallest businesses, making the shift from filing paper forms to electronic forms a requirement for many businesses. Collecting and managing vendor information is a vital step in adapting to these IRS updates. To file accurate 1099 forms, you'll need to collect and manage your vendor's tax information and, most importantly, their taxpayer identification number and name. Form W-9 is an IRS tax form that allows you to collect this information from the individual or business. This form also allows you to collect their signature, certifying that the information they're providing on the form is accurate. With TaxBandits W-9 Manager, you can request Form W-9 from your vendors and store their information securely. This process allows you to easily access the data, update it, and use it to generate your 1099s for year-end reporting. One of the most important aspects of tax season is putting a filing solution in place, especially given the changes to the form requirements and the changes to the e-filing thresholds. When choosing an IRS e-file solution for the upcoming tax season, there's a lot to consider. Focus on asking yourself the following questions. Will this provider make it simple for me to e-file the volume of forms that I need? Do they support all of the forms that I need to e-file? Is there an option for distributing copies to my recipients? If you're working with your team to file, does the application allow you to delegate and create a workflow that's effective? If you're a high volume filer, are there API options available? Is there an option to file corrections if needed? Do they have features that improve accuracy? Does the provider have any data integration options? And possibly, most importantly, what kind of customer service is available? So now that we've discussed some of the major 1099 forms and tips to prepare, as well as the new e-filing thresholds, let's take a look at e-filing the 1099-K with TaxBandits. All right, so to get started, e-filing forms like the 1099 NEC, miscellaneous, K, or the other year-end forms we've discussed today, once you're signed into your TaxBandits account, simply go to Start New, Form, and you'll see a full list of the forms TaxBandits supports. Today, we'll take a look at e-filing Form 1099-K for 2022. Once all of the IRS changes for 2023 are available, as you can see, that form will be updated in TaxBandits, but for today, we'll take a quick look at 2022 filing. With TaxBandits, you can easily bulk upload forms or manually enter them if needed. And for our webinar today, we'll just take a quick look at the manual option so you can see what the form looks like in TaxBandits. And it does look just like a hard copy of the form. The first thing we're doing here is choosing a business from our TaxBandits account that we're filing for. We'll review that business's details and add our recipient. We're also going to add a few different selections on the 1099-K that are specific to this form, but will vary from business to business. And as you can see, I'm just adding the recipient details just like you would on a normal form. We'll add a few amounts on our form. We'll choose a code. We'll add our number of payment transactions. And again, all of these details will vary just based off of the recipient and the business filing. Once we've completed our form, we'll save and continue. TaxBandits does have USPS address validation that helps to ensure the recipient's address is accurate. And from here, we'll choose the services we'd like TaxBandits to complete. So of course, the federal filing. If state filing is needed, we can add those details. Otherwise, we'll choose how we'd like TaxBandits to distribute the forms, such as by postal mail or online access if we'd like the recipient to receive a secure online copy of their form. It's as easy as adding their email address. And I will just add mine for our webinar today, but you would just add that recipient's email, grant them access, and once the form is filed, they'll receive a secure link directing them to our portal where they can sign in and access copies of their form. TaxBandits gives you a quick overview of the amounts that you've reported just to help you make sure that your records are correct. This will be the total for all forms for each box, and the 1096 is also available to view here for record keeping and reconciliation. And all that's left is to pay and transmit. If you have credits on your TaxBandits account, you won't have to enter a card every time you file. The credits never expire for 1099 forms. And it also lowers your cost per form, so it makes filing faster, easier, and more cost effective. If you have a card saved on the account and there are not credits, as you can see, I'm just adding my CVV, confirming I'm using this card, and we'll select Pay and Transmit to e-file our form. At this point, TaxBandits will automatically e-file the form with the IRS. Once the IRS has processed that form, we'll update the status in the account and the filer will receive an email with the status of the form. But we will go ahead and take a moment to have a brief Q&A. So go ahead, put your questions in the questions box. You can see the picture on the left shows you where to enter that for the webinar. And we'll give everyone just a moment to get those questions in before we start answering some of them. Okay, our first question is TaxBandits cloud-based or desktop? And that's a great question. TaxBandits is cloud-based, and this allows you to easily and securely access your account from any computer. Our next question is, does TaxBandits have an option to request W-9 forms from vendors? Yes, you can send W-9 requests to vendors individually or in bulk from TaxBandits. And once they've completed their W-9, you'll actually get a chance to review the information they provided, and you'll either accept it or you can electronically let the vendor know if they need to make some changes. So it just gives you a chance to make sure that that information appears correct before you continue. Okay, we've got another question. When I purchase 1099 credits, can I purchase a higher volume of credits and use them for future tax years? Yes, 1099 credits never expire, so you can purchase credits to use in the future, and with our volume-based pricing, that will allow you to get the best price per form, and then you'll just use those credits as you need them. You can use the credits for any business in the account, and no, they do not expire. Okay, let's see. I think we've got time for maybe one more question. Okay, this is a really common question. Will a recording of the webinar be available? Yes, the recording will be available on our TaxBandits YouTube channel. If you haven't checked it out, I definitely recommend visiting it, subscribing. We put a lot of updates and different guides, webinars, all kinds of great recorded videos on there. I do want to take a moment just to remind everyone to make sure that the email address that you used to register for our webinar today is spelled correctly. Like I said, we provide educational information regularly, and you just won't want to miss any updates. So make sure that's correct. And that is all we have time for today. If you submitted a question and we did not get to it, we really appreciate you taking the time to ask, and a member of our team will email you after the webinar about that question. So work smarter, not harder. Visit us for the latest IRS updates and tips for making the most of your account. Like I said, if you haven't already, check out our YouTube channel, but we also have an amazing blog. We've got a great knowledge base on TaxBandits.com, so there are all kinds of resources to help make tax season a breeze. And thank you all so much for joining us today. If you have questions, please feel free to contact us. You can reach us by phone at 704-684-4751, by email at support@taxbandits.com, or by online chat. And if you don't already have a TaxBandits account, head on over to taxbandits.com and create one now.